All right, Scorpio and Ophiuchus, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is going to be for January 4th through the 10th of 2016. My name is Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to this type of astrology, do check the description down below. All right, so this week, a lot going on astrologically, and as there usually is, mixed energy with a lot of things. There's a lot of things both in terms of things shifting. We've got Mercury going retrograde on Tuesday, and Jupiter going retrograde Thursday, Friday, and a new moon on Saturday. So a lot in regards to that, and as you can see here, a lot of aspects taking place. So it all starts on Tuesday, which is this now Mercury station, and this has been a Mercury squaring up to your ruler Mars. So it's been important for you guys, I think, to have that extra attention with the communications, with the daily stuff, with the routine, maybe ground that. And that's going to be important because Mercury is now stopping right at that position and going retrograde in your second house of your values. So I think there has been a lot of perhaps focus and thinking about the material values of your life. Maybe it's financial, maybe otherwise, maybe all kinds of values, maybe the things you enjoy in life, just generally speaking. So now it's a good time to reflect on that over these next few weeks. You'll probably notice a pause with those areas. And again, with the square up to Mars, extra attention I think will be needed with that. And with all this attention I think that you guys have right now at the moment, maybe to connect with networks, connect with friends, maybe join organizations or groups, or actualize your ideals. It can certainly be very constructive, but again, that patient approach with the square is always very much needed. Now, usually when Mercury goes retrograde for you, Scorpio and Ophiuchus, it's involving your 8th house and your 11th house, because those are areas that Mercury rules. So it's always a good time, and for the next 3 weeks, to reflect on the deeper aspects of life, what's really meaningful, right? And healing and transformation and things like that, more on that internal level. Now, in terms of your groups and all that stuff where Mars is, that's also going to be reflective also, right? So where you can have, more of that understanding and maybe rehash some of those group or ideals, group related things or your ideals in your life. So that's going to be the shift. And while that's going on Tuesday, Venus is squaring up to Neptune. So here, especially because Venus is in your first house, I think maybe you guys are feeling good, looking good. There's a little bit of that more enjoyment, which has been a serious area for you. You and your goals have been very serious lately, maybe with more responsibilities with Saturn in that first. But now with Venus joining Saturn in that first, there is more enjoyment to be had in that process, right? And so it's important to stay grounded with it though, because Saturn's here, but also Venus squaring up to Neptune. Anything involving the self and the ideals and the goals, self-assertion. Maybe there's uncertainty about it in some sense, but more so, it's important to keep any types of fantasies or ideals grounded with it. Because Venus, from the first squaring up to Neptune, can sometimes create that. Now, I would say especially with relationships, staying grounded with that stuff as well as with the spiritual things, right? Watching the extreme of alone time or too much or not enough, whatever. That's always important to integrate anyways with Neptune. And this might be visions and ideals in regards to home, family, health. Maybe there's uncertainty about those areas, but it's all about faith and trust going with the flow. But usually with a Venus aspect, it does come across as quite benefic, hence the importance of keeping it grounded, because sometimes it can become a little bit too floaty with that. But I don't think it's going to be too much for you, in fact, because Venus is going to be very close to Saturn all week long. She's going to go over Saturn later in the week. So there is this, again, maturity and patience with you guys. And that's Saturn in the first, and now Venus going over that. You can really solidify maybe some of these ideals, maybe some of these dreams, and maybe some of these relationship stuff as well this week, and things that you're working on with your goals and whatnot. So that's going to be Venus, and you'll probably feel that shift the early part of the week. Now, as we go through the middle part, the sun goes over Pluto and then squares up to Uranus, which is very important because it's been involving this Uranus-Pluto square. And we are having a new moon right there at that Pluto position, squaring up to Uranus. So leading towards that new moon, there is this openness, this importance of openness to change, specifically for you with your values, to be open to changing your values, be open to making any type of structural changes with your material values, maybe with the finances, being grateful, things like this, but really taking the action, really stepping into your power, oftentimes with Pluto, and watching any extremes too, with Uranus in the 5th house, because oftentimes with this, we're wanting to break free. We're wanting to break free from. Maybe it's self-expression, I would imagine, but maybe also the financial stuff. So stay very grounded with it. Maybe listen to some of that stuff that's really sort of your intuition telling you the importance of having more interest, more fun, more playfulness, that kind of 5th house energy. And there might be something quite exciting, in fact, as there sometimes is with this. But it's, again, with the square, needing that integration, really integrating your passions with your values, the material values with your fiery values, if you will. So that's going to be that new moon too, so leading towards that. But also leading towards that new moon, we do have Jupiter going retrograde. So that's going to be in regards to your 10th house, which is about career and anything on that public level or your legacy. So it's been a place of expansion, or maybe at the very least you're learning more about career lately. Maybe there's been more possibilities with that stuff. And by career, I use that very loosely. Basically anything that you do that's productive or future oriented in a sense. So a lot of things opening up there, but now with Jupiter going retrograde for about the next 5 months, there's this importance of going within, redoing, rehashing maybe some of these career things. And also, interestingly enough, your 2nd and your 5th house, because Jupiter rules both Sagittarius and Pisces, are those areas of your chart. So when it comes to the values, when it comes to the resources, when it comes to your self-expression, your interests, it's a good time now for the next 5 months to reflect on that, rehash that, and learn more about it. And there usually is a lot learned during Jupiter retrograde, because Jupiter is about that expansive wisdom. So that's going to be the later part of the week, as well as the sun sextiling up to Chiron. So it could be quite healing in regards to the career stuff. One thing I want to say too is this week, with the sun going over Pluto, be open to change with your career. Not necessarily in a big sense, but maybe there's something on a deep level. Maybe it's your perspective on it in some sense. Maybe something specifically with it. But be open to that, because every year the sun goes over Pluto, and the sun who rules your 10th house of career, it's always this important time to make some changes. And you've probably been noticing lately it has a lot to do with maybe the new year or the beginning of January with Pluto in that part of Sag. Now, Venus going over Saturn, talked about that, right? So good for the relationships, getting grounded with them, getting grounded with your ideals, getting grounded with that spiritual time out, feeling good, looking good, merging the feeling good, looking good with the more mature, responsible qualities of life, whatever that is for you personally. And then on Saturday, we are going to have that new moon. Okay, and one thing I want to say too is, that Jupiter is getting very close to this north node, and they're going to be conjoining this later part of the week. So this whole life path is very much shifting for you to put energy into career, put energy into those legacy things, the public life, public image, for the next 2 years with the north node transiting into that 10th. So a lot of things expanding with that this early to middle part of January. In fact, this whole early part of 2016. With them so close to each other here. And you'll probably feel that shift later in the week. So with those possibilities, you're probably seeing that. You're probably learning more about, what your life path is, and how your life path can certainly integrate more of this 10th house, public, or productive energy. Now with that new moon, which is going to be in that same area of your 2nd house, maybe there's some new beginnings now with your perspective on your values, with that gratitude, maybe with the financial material stuff. And again, being open to change with it with Pluto, and listening to that freedom in terms of where you can have more fun in your life, more playfulness. But it does take that patient integration with that square up to Uranus. All right, Scorpio and Ophiuchus. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you guys all next time. Take care.